Do you like pizza? Do you love pizza? Pizza is hands down one of my favorite foods. I love the crunchy and doughy crust, the red sauce with some garlic and Italian seasoning, some shredded cheese, turkey pepperoni, maybe some broccoli, olives, and banana peppers. I love a nice homemade pizza. There's just something about making pizza from scratch that feels sacred. Every step takes time, intention, and care. And the more I've made pizza, the more I've realized it's a lot like our walk with God. Welcome back to Shandy's Sacred Space, a place where overwhelmed mamas are reminded that motherhood isn't just hard, it's holy. Here we slow down, breathe, pray, and get to the root of what's really going on so we can rise up stronger in the Lord. Let's trade chaos for clarity and discover the sacred strength available to you right here and right now. Making pizza from scratch is slow, intentional, and kind of beautiful. You can't rush it, and every step matters. It all begins here with yeast. At first, it looks tiny and lifeless, but add a little warmth and nourishment, and suddenly it wakes up. It bubbles, it spreads, it becomes alive. That's exactly how our faith begins. Without God, we're dormant, like dry yeast. But when His word and His love touches us, something stirs inside. Yeshua said the kingdom of heaven is like yeast that works its way through the whole dough. That's what faith does. It starts small, but eventually transforms everything. It reminds me of the woman at the well in John 4. She came empty, but one encounter with Yeshua, the living water, brought her heart to life. Like yeast bubbling in warm water, her faith began to spread, and she ran to tell her whole town about Him. That's how God begins with us, a small spark of life that eventually touches everything. Now the yeast gets mixed with flour, oil, salt, and water. On their own, these ingredients don't look like much, but when they come together, they form the foundation of the pizza. And that's how God works with our lives. The good moments, the painful moments, even the parts we wish we could forget. He blends them all together in His perfect plan. This reminds me of Romans 8:28 that says that He works all things, not some things, but all things. He works together for those who love Him and serve Him according to His purposes. Nothing is wasted in His kitchen. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, thrown into prison. Each piece of his story seemed bitter. But later, Joseph looked back and said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." God is the master mixer. He takes every part of your life, even the broken and bitter and painful parts, and He folds them into His recipe for something good. There is nothing that God cannot redeem or restore. He is a good, good Father, and He makes all things work together for our good when we put our faith and our trust and our hope in Him. Now we need to knead the dough. This is where the dough gets pressed and stretched again and again. And honestly, it is not comfortable. But kneading strengthens the dough so it can rise and hold together. That's what trials do in our lives. James 1:2-3 says to count it joy when we face trials, because the testing of our faith produces endurance. Mama, God uses pressure and stretching to build strength in us. Think of Job. He was kneaded harder than most. He lost everything, yet he held on to God. and through it, his faith became unshakable. In the end, he said, "My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you." So if you're being stretched right now, Mama, don't lose heart. God is building resilience in you. Now comes the waiting. The dough rests, hidden under a towel, while the yeast does its work. You can't see much of what's happening, but inside, transformation is taking place. This reminds me of those waiting seasons in life when it feels like nothing is moving forward, but really God is working in the unseen. Psalm 37:7 says, "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him." David understood this. He was anointed king as a boy, but he spent years in the wilderness, tending sheep, hiding in caves, fleeing from Saul. It looked like nothing was happening, but God was letting his faith rise, preparing him for the throne. Waiting is never wasted, Mama. It's where God does some of his deepest work in us. Once the dough has risen, it still needs to be shaped. It gets rolled out and stretched again and again into the form it's meant to take. That's what God does with us. Growth isn't the end goal. He also shapes us for his purpose. Isaiah 64:8 says, "We are the clay and you are the potter." Sometimes his shaping feels uncomfortable, but it's because he's preparing for us his specific calling. Motherhood shapes us and molds us and sculpts us into the image of Christ, and we cannot allow guilt and shame to make us think that God is not working and moving in our hearts and minds. Jeremiah 18 shows the potter reshaping clay that was marred, making it into another vessel as he saw fit. That's what God does with us, Mama. He takes our lives in his hands and molds us until we're ready for his assignment. There are so many seasons in motherhood. There are seasons that are beautiful and peaceful, and then there's other seasons in motherhood that are just downright difficult. But we must choose to trust that God is sculpting us and shaping us and molding us no matter how we feel. Here's where the pizza becomes unique. No two pizzas are ever the same. One might be simple, and if you're like me, you like to load on the toppings. And that's exactly how God designed us to be. 1 Corinthians 12 says there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. Your life may not look like someone else's, but your gifts are handcrafted for the kingdom. It reminds me of Esther. She was given favor, beauty, and a position of influence. And Mordecai told her, "Who knows but that you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this?" Her unique toppings were exactly what God used to save her people. So don't compare your gifts to someone else's. God has seasoned your life in a way no one else can replicate. Mama, I cannot emphasize this enough. You are the best mama for your babies. God, the creator of this entire world, handpicked you to be the mama with your personality, with your strengths, with your weaknesses, and everything in between. You are the best mama for the job, and God will certainly help you along the way. Finally, the pizza goes into the oven. The heat transforms the dough and toppings into something finished and beautiful. Without the fire, the pizza stays raw. Mama, God allows refining seasons in our lives for transformation. 1 Peter 1:7 says our faith is more precious than gold, tested by fire, so it may result in praise and glory. The fire isn't to destroy us, it's to refine and complete us. This makes me think of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in Daniel 3. They were thrown into a blazing furnace, but the fire didn't consume them. Instead, God's presence showed up, walking with them in the flames. And when they came out, they didn't even smell like smoke. That's what refining seasons do. They prove God's power and finish his work in us. And here it is. Every step mattered. The yeast, the mixing, the kneading, and the waiting, the shaping, the toppings, and probably most importantly, the fire. All of it came together for a finished pizza. And in the same way, God uses every step of our journey. Mama, if you feel like you're still being needed, or maybe hidden, or even in the midst of the fire, take courage. God isn't finished with you yet. Philippians 1:6 says, being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you will carry it to completion until the day of Christ Yeshua, our Messiah. God is faithful. Mama, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to share it with another mama who is in need of some encouragement today. I will see you in the next video.